Hello, hello. It's 11 a.m. in San Francisco. We're just at the top of the hour. Welcome to Hack Together number 5. I'm Nicolas. I'm your host for this live coding show that we have on a summary regular basis with Typeform. Um, Welcome. And today we have a special show and we have a special guest. I'm pleased to be joined by Matej, who is joining us from Slovakia.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Yeah, welcome. Before we get started, could you tell us maybe a bit more about who you are, what you do? What you do in the team?
Yeah, so I have joined Typeform about a year and a half just before the pandemic. I was part of the first batch of remote employees, and currently I work at a channel experience team. And our responsibilities are the experience of respondents and how our creators share their typeforms with their respondents. So we try to find new ways and improve existing ways of sharing your typeform. So, for example, we are maintaining and building our embed library, which allows creators to embed their typeforms into their websites and
Yeah.
become part of this website. And we also take care of some other projects like the share page. So if you build the Typeform and go to share tab, the page you see, this is what we're working on as well, sharing through email and a bunch of other things.
Yeah, so it's basically wherever you need, once you have created your Typeform, whenever you need to share that Typeform with other people on your own website via email or on another shape or form, this is what your team is responsible of.
Yes.
And for people that have been using Typeform for a while, you may have seen a lot of changes recently on this share panel that Matej was mentioning. A lot of different new features, a lot of different ways of embedding your form. And so I think today we want to talk about that, but we want to talk also about what's underneath it, right? What is powering those new embeds features? Could you tell us more about what we mentioned as the embed SDK? What is it?
Embed SDK is basically a JavaScript library you would include in your website in order to, well, embed a typeform. The most basic use case you would how you could use this library is when you go to share page and define how you want to share and embed your typeform, and you get the HTML snippet. You click copy the code. When you copy paste this into your website, you are using embed SDK. So this is the technology that's underneath this, that's powering this snippet, and it provides you with some basic functionality if you're using SharePage. If you don't know how to program, if you're not familiar with JavaScript, then you can just get the snippet, copy paste it into your CMS or other tools you're using to build your website. However, if you know a little bit of programming, a little bit of JavaScript, then there's a lot more possibilities how you can integrate Typeform into your website and how you can make it integral part of your website.
And this is exactly what we're going to dive into. So if you want to embed your website, your Typeform on your website, you have this option that it's available to everyone. Just copy and paste a snippet of code. This is more for developers, where we're going to dive into this new embed SDK, and we're going to talk probably about also the work you have done at rewriting this library recently. It's something that we had for a couple of years, and now you gave it a bit more love. Just as a reminder, we're live on 3 different platforms right now, so pick the one you like. If you are on Twitch, if you're on YouTube, if you're on LinkedIn, let us know. Leave us some comments, and we'll try to react in real time. I see we have Sahil that is joining us. We also have Alejandro, and we'll take some questions as we're going through the hack, as we live coding this thing together, and also suggestions, as we see that there is already a comment from Alejandro suggesting a Flutter version of the SDK. So Flutter, I think it's for mobile, Android mobile. Is that right?
I'm not sure. I think it's a mobile technology.
Yes.
Yeah. However, at the moment, we're focused on web technologies, and for mobile, I think on the developer portal there is a page on how to embed for mobile. In short, it should be using web views or alternative approaches similar to this one.
Yeah, right now it's related to Typeform in general. Right now we only render in WebView. We don't really render in any native view on mobile. All right, so ready to hack?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Let's do this. So I think we're gonna follow you as you walking us through this new library and how to use it. I will just be here asking questions and yeah, making sure that we all are on the same page. So we're following you. Tell us.
All right, sure. So yeah, in order to embed this, in order to embed the library and use it, we first need a website. So for this purpose, I have decided to build one in Next.js. It should be very quick, and it should get us started very quickly. So we'll just create a new.
And so for the people that they're not familiar, Next.js is
So Next.js is like a framework built on top of React. I would say it's an alternative to Create React app, and it provides a lot of nice features like routing, server-side rendering, API routes, and the whole orchestration. It allows you to export your app as a static version, so you can host it on a CDN. There's a lot of features. So if you're not familiar, definitely check it out. It's
very powerful to get started with your React project, and it has everything built in already. And so you don't have to add so many packages as you just get started. They take care of most of the functionalities you're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
All right, so this is a bit of magic doing installing all different packages.
It seems like magic, but it basically helps you a lot in bootstrapping your project. I'm going to use the name of the live coding demo. So let's open this there. Let's get to this directory, and as you can see, you can start developing right away just by running yarn dev. There's like you could build your app for production, and then you can start it using the built-in yarn command. But for now, we are interested in this yarn dev, and this will start a localhost server for us, build all the sources, and yeah, this is like the default page you get. Some links to documentation examples you can explore, how you can use Next.js, how to bootstrap your project. You can learn quite a lot of stuff here. And Verso, the company behind Next.js, they even provide you with an infrastructure for very easy deployment of your Next.js app. So the whole process is very streamlined and very, very developer friendly. So I'm going to open this project in WebStorm, my favorite ID. So the way Next.js works, it has a pages directory, and then there's this index.js, which exports a React component, and this component is rendered as the page. So this code we see here, it's this page that's over here. And I'm just going to get rid of the default stuff that's there.
And so if we think about like why would someone be interested to embed the Typeform on their website, is like if you make your own website for like a portfolio and you want people to contact you, if it's like a lead generation form, or if you want to ask for feedback, this is the moment where you wanted to add it to your website.
Yes, and there's a lot of ways on how you can achieve this. So well, first things first, we're going to It also auto updates, so whenever you edit the code, it will automatically refresh. First things first, we're going to create a typeform that we will be embedding into the website. And for this example, we're going to start from scratch, and let's create a website for, let's say it would be a feedback form. And we will ask our visitors, our respondents, like a quick question. Let's say we will ask them for their name.
And for those of you that are using Typeform at the moment, I think you are using a preview version of what's an iteration on the builder. I don't know if it's released to everybody yet.
Oh yeah, that's right. So I think it might look a bit differently, but more or less, I think this red panel, this right panel would be moved to the left. But
yeah, I think we'll have the opportunity to go into more details later. But right now, yeah, you're creating just your form, adding the simple questions.
And let's pick like an opinion scale, and we will ask like, all right. Nice to meet you. How do you like our website? So people will be able to tell us, give us some feedback on the website itself. So this will be like feedback collecting form, and I guess that's it. We can publish the form now, and over here is a handy pop-up that will let you share the form, copy the link of the form right away. But this is not what we are looking for now. You can also embed it. So if you would like to embed it and like a very simple approach, then we can choose, let's say, a popover over here on the share page, and you just get the code, which you copy paste into your app, and so it's not supposed to do that. And the reason for this is this is intended to be used for HTML pages. So it's not intended to be copy pasted into React apps, obviously. This snippet over here is for HTML pages. So if you were using a CMS, if you were not building your site in React, you would use this code. But since we're using React and we want to have like a tighter integration with our Typeform, we will be using our Embed SDK.
And also, like, if you use this snippet, you don't have really full control. So if you want to do some things that are a bit more complex, where you want the form to display only after a certain action has been taken by the user, this is not possible. So this is whenever you want to do something more complex that is given by the snippets, this is when you need the Embed SDK.
Yes. So, all right. Yeah, this happens on our company computers because we are installing our Typeform packages from from GitHub.
GitHub, yeah.
And this package is published is public, so it's published in npm for everyone to access. And I'm going to need to change my config. So if you could open the privacy screen for a moment, or
yeah, let me just do that right now.
Thank you.
So we're still here. We're just hidden because Matej is doing something very private, and we don't want to share any of these keys in the world. It's coming back soon. But if you want to use it, if you want to look at this, the library is already available on npm. If you look for...
Hold on.
Hold on. All right,
yes,
perfect.
Yes, you can remove it.
All right.
So I will rerun this command, and it will install the dependency over here. And this is our library. We can see it here in the package.json that it's installed. And yeah, so now we can get to embedding using this library. So here on GitHub, you have the React library. We will go directly to it, and we would like to do. Let's start with the basic one. Let's start with the popover. So we would be importing a popover component. From and this is like all you need to do to embed. And we also need the form ID, which is, you will find it in the form URL or here also in the admin URL. So this string that's over here. And now you can see there's the button. When I click it, it displays the form, and that's it. So this is what it does now. And
so this is very basic config. You just add a component and you decide the component depending on the type of embed. There are different type of embed, and you pass the form ID to it. That's literally the simplest way to integrate.
If I were to rename this to, let's say, a widget, which is a widget for embedding, I haven't set the size, so it's small size over here. We could.
So widget is the inline in the body of your page, right?
Yes. So now we can resize it, and if you so this is how easy it is. You just insert the component, and our library takes care of adding the inserting the required markup into your code, into your website, and also loading all the styles and everything. So let's get back to this popover. And what I wanted to demonstrate over here is that, so the configuration is basically you will just pass a bunch of props to the component. And these props are exactly the same as our configuration options for vanilla JavaScript library. If you already worked with our embed library, the new one, you might be familiar with this options object, which is passed to the embed. And there's a bunch of stuff you can do to configure it. And what I would like to do here is demonstrate one of the new features we have for Embed SDK. It's tooltip. Also as well, and okay. Yeah, so you can see over here, there's like a tooltip, like a pop-up.
That's only for the popover option, right?
Yes, right now this is available only for popover. From the design point of view, it kind of makes sense only for this one, because if you look at other share options like side tab, it doesn't really fit into this design. And for others, well, others don't really have a custom controls to open it. So it kind of makes sense for this one to be here. And so when you click it, it goes away. When you reload, it should reopen. Yeah, so it's here again. And so yeah, I mean, this is pretty much it. And what I would like to demonstrate next is it's one of the features that's been, well, a lot of our users ask for this feature and ask for help with implementing this. It's retrieving the responses. So when you submit the form, the response is saved in Typeform, and you can see it in your results pane, in the results area of the admin UI. But you can also use our Typeform API to retrieve those data and further use it to enhance user experience. And this is what I'd like to look at next. So we have this.
Yeah, usually people want to do something like they want to display a message that says everything has been collected correctly, or they want to show what has been collected, and depending on it, show a different screen. So if you do like a quiz, they want to show the score that you just had and how you're performing with the rest of the class, for example.
Yes. So over here in the documentation on GitHub, you can see that we have an onSubmit function, which should fire when user submits the form. So I'm going to use this onSubmit, and there will be a function, and over here, let's just put a console log there, and we can see if this handle actually works. So I'm going to open a console over here, and I'm going to open a Typeform, see the name over here, and so you can see that the console log is over here printed in the dev console. So this means that it's actually executing this code here.
But we don't have yet the answer that has been submitted, the response that has been submitted.
Yes.
Just know that it has been submitted.
Yes. And somewhere over here in the documentation, there's a part on callbacks in the README for the vanilla library. You can see that we have this thing called response ID over here that comes along in the payload of the onSubmit method. So if I were to submit it, I can log the response ID, and now we have this response ID. This is all you get. It's for security reasons, so that embedding websites wouldn't have access to those answers unless they also own the form that is embedded. So next, we will look at how to retrieve this.
Yeah. I think it's interesting to mention the security and why we just give you the ID. Let's spend a minute on this, because a lot of people will have we give them a JSON of this is the first question, this is the answer to the first question, the second question, and the answer to the second question. But if we do this, like anybody can embed any other website, and that really is an invitation to phishing, right?
Yes. So I would be able to embed your Typeform in my website and read read responses to your Typeform, which we obviously do not want people to allow.
Exactly. So right now we give you a gibberish ID, and only the people that have access to your account will be able to make sense of it. So how would you do this? Are you going to use the API?
Yes. So we will be using the response API, and we have this developer.typeform.com developer portal with a lot of documentation. It also has some information on Embed SDK. And we will be looking at the responses API over here. So, the concept is that you can retrieve your response if you own the form. What does it mean to own a form? Well, you will need a personal access token. It's here in the documentation. So for personal access token, you will need to go to your Typeform
account,
in the settings here. And I already have the token generated, but I'm just going to walk you through how this works. So you would click here, generate a new token, and you can give it a name. You can limit the scopes of this token. So for this one, we only need to read responses.
And this is for security purposes. So if someone finds this token, they will only be restricted to the data action. And
Yes,
so it's
exactly.
better to give the right permissions to your token than give every single permission, because if it happens that this token ends up in the wild, then they will be able to do more harm than if it was properly scoped.
Exactly. If it's compromised, then and the token has access to all scopes, then it can create forms, it can delete forms, and this is not something you want to give other people access to. So to be sure, you just need to give it proper permissions. I'll just generate the token, and now I can see the token. I can see it only for one time, and since you have seen it as well, I'm going to delete it right away.
Smart.
And over here, I have a test token that I already have in my.
Should I?
No need. We have this TF, so I'm not going to print out the token. I have it in my environment variable. This is the name. So I will be using this name in the app.
So we'll use this token to authenticate ourselves to the response API and prove that we are legitimate and we should have access to this response.
Yes. And to find out how to do it, you can look at the developer documentation. And over there, you should find out how to. Well,
yeah. So
yeah,
it's basically passing an authorization token, authorization header in the request that you're making.
So yeah, over here it mentions that you just pass it as authorization, and you will pass it as beer. Over here you can see an example request. So this is the header we want to pass. And in order to do this, as you can see, we will be making the request to api.typeform.com. And since our app, this one, is running in the browser on a client side, you will not be able to make this request from the browser because of cross-origin and security. So basically, we will not let you to make this request, and the browser will prevent you from making this request. So you will need to make this server side. So thanks to Next.js, we can set up our API endpoint very quick. So over here, I will create a new file in the pages API directory. Let's call it response.js. And we will export the default function. So we will export the default function, and it will return some data. Well, for now, it's just, if you look at the hello endpoint, it just returns, well, a JSON. And what we want to do here is, in our response, we want to actually make the request to the Typeform API. So we will need the personal token for authorization. It is a good practice to put your secrets in environmental variables, so you do not commit them into Git and publish them on GitHub accidentally. So this will be the token, and we will be making a fetch request to
api.typeform.com. I know at least.
I have to look at the responses API, where we can retrieve responses. And
I think it's on the top.
Yeah, over here. So over here, the form ID, we can hard code the form ID, or we could read it from from the request. So let's read it from the request. ID. And this will be the async function. Await fetch and so we also want to do some basic error handling. So if there's an error with the fetch from Typeform API for whatever reason, like permission denied or something, then we can return basically this and so if it were to fail, I mean, let's show what would happen if it were to fail.
I will call it here. Perfect.
Response. Oh, it returns unauthorized because we are not authorized with the API. But if we need to pass the token, so headers authorization, and it's here. What is?
So right now you're showing this through making HTTP calls directly with the fetch library that's included in the latest version of Node. We also have a JavaScript SDK where you can do this as a shortcut, but it is good to see how it's built also directly.
These fetches are built into Next.js, so it provides it to you out of the box. And so it's still unauthorized. Yeah, I don't have the ID. So in order to get my form ID, where it's here in the index.js. So this is the form ID. I can do it like this. Yeah, I have no
You have no responses?
I have responses, but I haven't passed them. So if I were to do this, now I should see some. Yeah, now I can see the responses.
And this is the data we get directly from the Typeform API. We didn't do any manipulation on it.
Yeah, so this is like a proxy API endpoint that allows you to fetch your data. And over here we have this response ID, and this is the string that we are sending you in the Embed SDK to your onSubmit handler. So in order to retrieve the correct submission, we will need this response ID. So I guess we can pass the response ID as query as well.
Yeah, because right now you're retrieving all the responses of this form, and you don't want to go through all the responses and just iterate and say if ID equal something. Get it?
I'm not sure. Do we have an endpoint that it should be somewhere here, right, in the query parameters?
It should be included response IDs.
Yeah, it's over here. So we will be limiting requests to specify response IDs, and it's a comma-separated list. So for now, it's a get parameter, right? And it will be this request query response ID.
Exactly.
So,
and we are right now for this use case, we're only interested to retrieve one answer at a time. But as you saw in the documentation, you can retrieve as many answers as you want by specifying the IDs.
refactor this a bit so that it's readable on this smaller resolution or larger resolution. So yeah, now we should be requesting just the response IDs, and if we try it out over here, let's see what the response ID was like. It's over here. So now we can see that there's total items 1, and there's just 1 response over here. And we can see the answers. This is what we will be interested in. There's also some more data, but well, some metadata, browser, user agent, whatever. So we don't care about those right now. And we just want to get to the answers that the user entered into the Typeform.
Yeah, so we can display this back directly into our website.
Yes. So it's items, answers, and we will make our, like, this is what Typeform API returns. It returns all this data only if you are authorized. So since we are building our own endpoint, we want to expose only those data that our app will be consuming, and we will not be exposing any more data because, well, security, and we don't want anyone to be able to read responses because this endpoint is public, and once you get this response ID, well, you would be able to access this because you don't need the token anymore. We are adding the token in our proxy endpoint. So what we're interested in is items, answers, and let's say we are interested in this name. So
yeah, so now you know, instead of giving back everything that you get from Typeform, you're just gonna restrain this to the data we just need. Exactly.
So this is the response. And if we have a response, then if we don't have a response, I guess we could, again, like 404, response not found.
Mm-hmm.
And if we do have a response, then we will get the answers. And right now, you can see that there is field. Field represents your question, and there's an ID and there's a ref. For now, the ID is shorter, so I'll use this one. It's a unique, and it's always the same for this field. This ref can be customized. So in the builder, you can customize this one, and you can use like a custom value here.
Yeah, that helps you make the code a bit easier to read because you're not going to say, give me the answer of the question with ID, blah, blah, blah.
We can have a look at it, and we can have a look how it works. It is possible that it might look a bit different for you if you're not using this latest version of Builder. But
it's on the gear, yeah.
So here it's for developers, block references. Yeah, so let's say we call this nice name and rating. And is that it?
Sure.
Yeah, that's it. So you can see that the reference is nice and short and something we can use in the app, and it will be easier to read. So from the answers array, we will find the one that has field reference. So this is the answer, and we're interested in the text of the answer. So this one. And we're going to return it as name in our JSON. So when I load it, you can see that over here, it's just the name that I entered into the form. So we're not exposing any unnecessary data, and we're only exposing and returning whatever will be consumed by our application. And now that we have this endpoint ready, we can get back to the Embed SDK integration. And in this onSubmit, we will be fetching the endpoint, which is API/response, ID, which is our form ID, and I'm going to put in a variable over here.
So as we go, you're making the code way cleaner. This is awesome.
And I had to copy paste it over from here and there, and I just hate to do it. So, and response ID, and this response ID will be the response ID returned by this handler when the form is submitted. So over here, we will again have to wait for this response, and again, assuming everything goes well, we will get the data and data.name, because this is the only thing that we're retrieving. I guess we can do it like this. And now the name, I'm just going to log it to see if everything works. And let's see if it actually works. There's something wrong again. Right, so this is something with the server-side rendering of I don't know, so let's just ignore it for a while. So here is my name and some rating. I will submit the form. So it's 404 not found. What happened? That. Right. So now it returned a value. And this is because responses are saved in an asynchronous way. So the response may not be available right away, as you can see, but it's available in a very short while. So what we're going to do here, we will be, I guess, waiting to see if the response is available. So we will modify our endpoint to actually wait until, or to make the request a couple times until it's available. So
yeah, for anything like this, the response API is great, but the response API takes time between the moment a response has been submitted and the moment it becomes available. It's because we have to run a lot of things before we can store that response in our database and before we're exposing it. But it doesn't mean that your response doesn't exist. It's just that it's not available just yet.
Yes. So this may not be the nicest way to handle it, but let's create a while loop. It's going to make the request a couple times.
Yeah, so right now the only way to check is just to call the API over and over until we have a response back, right?
Yes. But wait a minute. What's here? here. All right, so like this. And we're going to also write like a helper method for waiting. Because we don't want to be doing like those requests every second or a few times per second. We don't want to hit some API limits or anything. So this is just a very simple. It's milliseconds. So we will be waiting for a couple of milliseconds here. Let's say for 2000 milliseconds to make sure. We will wait 2 seconds before making the request again. And in the meantime, we will be hoping that it's ready. I mean, if we want to do this correctly, we would do counter over here. And also make sure that while counter is lower than, let's say, 5. So we will make sure if the request fails 5 times or so, then
we'll give up.
Yeah, I mean, we will not be trying to fetch the response if it's not there. So if it's not there, we'll just give up. See if this works. So it works for this existing one that's already there. And let's see what happens over here. So it's 404 again. So something's not right. Yeah, I forgot to await here. So as we are in an async function, we need to await for blocking calls like this one. So I guess this could be it.
You just have to find another name for the test.
All right. Something's not playing nice, and I don't know. Well, let's just try to wait for the result in. Let's just wait and let's wait for about 5 seconds before making the request, and we'll see if that works. Yeah, so
yes.
This, I mean, obviously you wouldn't want to wait for 5 seconds. You would want to, I guess, make sure that this.
Could it be because does the while get executed a first time?
So result is not okay. I guess it is. I mean, we can put some debugging stuff around and we'll see, I guess. Sync. Did break something. It's saying the function is not a sync. Maybe there's. Just make sure. And doing the old-fashioned console log.
Yeah, to know if it goes inside.
And this will be actually console logged in here in the terminal. So we will see, and we can also log the response.
And you change the function to be called API. Do you have to export it again? Or...
Yeah, it's exported as a default here at the end.
Perfect.
So let's see. Did it work this time? I guess so. I mean, it might have been like this case in this case that we have processed the request very fast, so it was there on the first call. Yeah, so now we're returning 404, but here it says 200, so something is not right, I guess. We're sending it to result. The results is over here.
Would it be the...
It says 200. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, it could be 200, but maybe the result is not there. I don't know what the API actually returns. So let's log the...
I think the API may return something empty.
Yes.
Or...
Yes, because it might be just like an empty. So it would be... I mean, let's see what it returns.
Well, it's good because it demonstrates also that the time between the moment a response is available and later could vary a lot, and it's hard to predict. So that's why you should have a retry.
Oh, so it's here, total items. And I guess that's what we should be looking for.
Yeah.
Or let's do it like this. It's data. So this will be the data and total items. So zero at the beginning, and over here total items is data dot items.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be waiting. We'll be doing this while total items is 0, I guess.
Yeah.
Over here the data, which we don't need this anymore. And yeah, so we will be waiting for the total items to be more than 1. So while it is 0, we will try to retry the request. Let's see. Now it's 500. So the result is not defined. Oh yeah, it's over here.
Because we killed it.
I need to move it to upper scope. And hopefully now, fingers crossed.
So we get to see also how fast it is to refresh when you're making some changes. It's great. Boom.
So, now it works.
Hello. Yes. All right. Confettis. Cheers of joy. This is awesome. So what we just did here is embedding a type form on your website. When the form is submitted, extract the response and the detailed response using the response API. And doing this server side, because of security reasons, you can't do that front end. And as the responses might not be available, the response might not be available in real time, have a mechanism to retry and try to get it a couple of times.
Yeah, just make sure when you're retrying, make sure to put like some sensible limits here. So to make it like 1 per second, or make sure you wait 1 second before subsequent retries. Also make sure you don't have like an infinite while over here, just to make sure you don't get banned from the API. I believe there are some limits. Those limits should be very reasonable, but if you make 20, 30 requests per second, then I'm pretty sure you will hit those limits.
Yeah. The other recommendation is if you want to do some stuff that are more real-time experience, is probably to use the webhook, because they're more reliant and for sure they will trigger almost in real time. The issue is like in this case, it means that the webhook have to connect back to the front end, and so that might be a harder thing to build.
Yeah. So this is a very, very simple demonstration of how you can use the response in almost real time when it's submitted, and use it inside your application.
So there are other stuff I wanted to see in the Embed SDK that were added recently. Things that let you make things appear or disappear after the loading. So like people would like, you don't want to throw the Typeform as people are just landing on the website. Maybe it's only if they reach a certain level in the page or after a certain time. Like this is some interesting new features that were added recently.
So these features are also available already on the share page, and it's not available for standard embed because it's just something that's in your website from the beginning. But for example, for pop-up, it's here under advanced. It's not available for all plans, but we call it custom launch options, and you can decide when to display the form. So on page load, that will be like right away when the page is open. Then we have this exit intent, which is we detect the visitor's behavior, and when they're trying to exit the page, which is usually that they are moving their mouse in the top part of the page and going upwards, like they're trying to reach the navigation bar, back button, or close the tab, then we would refresh this one. It's exit intent. So as you can see, when I go with my mouse from the top, it shouldn't trigger, but it triggers on exit intent when you are moving your mouse from the bottom to the top. Then it triggers, and it's a good way to catch users before they exit the page. And then we have like a timer thing, which if I were to set 2 seconds, you wait 2 seconds and it's displayed. And we also have a scroll functionality. Scroll functionality cannot be actually previewed here. So I can show you how to do this with Embed SDK.
Yeah, let's look at this.
So you can find everything here in the options of our README on GitHub. And for this one, it's called open and then open value. There's a bit more on that. It's over here, custom launch options. So for scroll, you can see that you would need open scroll, and open value would be the percentage of scroll on your page. So for our use case here, I would just say open scroll and open value. Let's put it to like 50%. I will need to add some content to the page, obviously, because we need it to scroll. So
it's going to be lower ipsum something.
Yeah, something like that. I will have to Google this. Yeah, ipsum.com.
What, you don't know the lower ipsum by heart? A very long Latin text in Latin.
So it's actually fake Latin. I think it doesn't really mean anything.
I think it comes from the time of printing, actually.
Yeah, I think so, yes. So yeah.
All right, so now we have a long page.
Yeah, we need a longer page, but we can also do it like this style will have max width of. Okay. So now it's scrolling. We want to do it a bit longer. So you can see this is the page, and as I start scrolling, I scroll past half of the page and my popover opens.
Yeah, in the case of the popover, it opens the thing so the user doesn't have to click on the popover.
Yes. So one more time. So I'm not clicking on the button or down there. I'm just scrolling, and this could be like an indication that the user hasn't engaged with your application just yet. So you might want to open the popover or your Typeform to ask them for, well, to engage them and start a conversation.
So this is very cool. I think another question that people may have is, what about hidden fields and variables? Is there an easy way to pass those to the embed?
Yeah. So for hidden fields, I don't think it's here. Oh, yeah. So the form will need a hidden variable in order to configure it. So let's do that.
So if you're not familiar with hidden fields, just to get people on the same page here, hidden fields are a way to pass some context. So if you really already know, for example, the name of the user, if you know their user ID, and if you want to contextualize this in the response that they're going to submit, this is a way to set up those parameters, and they won't be able to change those. So it's something that they're not going to alterate. It's going to be under logic, I believe.
It's
logic, advanced, hidden field.
Oh, hidden fields. So we can, for example, use the email variable, and this is very good for continuing the conversation. So if you already know a piece of information about your customer, you can pass it to the form and use this information. So over here.
Thanks, Des, for being around. Des is leaving us. He has been following since the beginning, so just tell us that he was leaving.
Thanks for following. And let's say we can ask the user, like, is your email address? Email, this is the hidden field, still current. And we'll be able to ask our customer if we have correct email address for them. So when we go to share,
so it's the hidden field is something you pass in the URL, as you see in the link that you have. That's something you pass in the URL.
Yes, and it's over here under advanced. So you can see that right now it's just XXX, but if I were to add an email address here, it's over here. So this can also be done in Embed SDK, obviously, because this here is powered by Embed SDK. And I think it should be like this. So you just pass an object with your hidden fields. And let me just close a few tabs. So we have the email address over here.
Yes.
One of the things you can do also with Embed SDK that's not available through the share page is that over here in the documentation, you will find something that's called transitive search params. It's a bit of a maybe cryptic name. And what this means is that the parameters in the URL of your host page, which is your website, can be transferred to Typeform. So if you have a page that you don't really have direct control of, or you cannot modify the snippet, but you have this data in the URL, you can use those and Now I'm going to regret using email as an example, because putting your user email into
yes, it's gonna be
URL
URL
not
encoded.
best practice.
Oh yeah.
If I were to use something like this, so now, since we defined this as a transitive search param, what should happen is this email address will go into the Typeform. Fingers crossed. I haven't really tried this one with the React SDK. Oh, it's there. Cool.
Ta-da!
So do not put your user emails over here, but if you have some other data that are here and you want to forward them into the form, then you can do it. And
yeah, usually you want to do like it's what people do, the UTM parameters, like the marketing campaign or the where how people found about this page, this type of thing.
yeah, you can do that, and then you will have this UTM parameter in your Typeform as a hidden field, so you can track your responses better.
All right, I think this is really cool. Is there any other feature that lives in the SDK that you want to show? Something that you're very proud of, really like?
Well, there's one with. We also have a chat UI, which is you can embed Typeform as a chat. So for those of you who didn't know this already, you can turn Typeform into chat, and then it looks like something like this. And it looks like as if you were chatting with someone, but this chat conversation is powered by Typeform, by the form that you created. And if you wanted to turn this into a chat, then you just need to say chat over here as a prop. And it's a chat.
And so that's something that's totally new, because before the Embed SDK was not supporting chat at all. You will have to go through the snippets.
That's correct. We were using different SDK because there was a different team that was taking care of the chat UI. So they built their own Embed SDK. And this year, when we built the new one, we thought so we have this cool new Embed SDK, and it already supports quite a lot of features. It is going to support so much more, and we might even add more based on user suggestions. This library is open source, so people can contribute to it, and they can create new embed types. Like, I don't know, this popover can go wherever. It can be on the left side of the screen, on the top, or wherever you would like. You just need to open up a request. So when
you brought everybody back to the same roof in the same house, right?
Exactly. Once we have an embed library that already supports a lot of nice features, we decided to allow Chat UI to take benefit from this as well. And you are able to use everything that's available for embed, for the form. It's also available for chat. So over here, everything you find in this documentation, like passing hidden fields, setting opacity, using sandbox, using the tooltip, it all works for both chat and form. So
yeah, so this is really cool. And so probably the last question I had, like we showcased an example with React, but this is available as well if you don't use React, if you just use vanilla JavaScript.
So the React library was released only recently, yesterday, I think. So yeah, there was this error in my console, so maybe something's broken, but I will have to investigate this tomorrow. And other than React, it's also available as vanilla JavaScript library. So it's so this is the vanilla JavaScript library. It's at typeform/embed, and you can. Well, there are two ways to embed. One would be using JavaScript, and one would be just using an HTML with this special data.tf widget attribute. And it behaves sort of like the React version. So You just prefix everything with data.tf. These values are consumed by our library, and it will be able to embed, and you are also able to configure it. So regardless if you're using JavaScript or HTML to embed, you get access to all of the features.
Nice.
There's a lot of
and so that also means that if you're using Vue, if you're using Svelte, if you're using other front end library, you can build your own wrapper around this.
That's correct. So if you're using other libraries, we would really welcome a pull request, maybe a wrapper for this into this repository. If you choose not to, then it's very easy. And there's an example in one of our demos. By the way, there's a lot of demo packages on how to embed in React, in plain HTML, in plain JavaScript. So make sure to check it out. It's on the GitHub, on the embed repository. And over here in the Next.js demo, we have an example of vanilla library being used for inside the React app. So before we had this React library, you still could use the library. It was a bit more complicated, I would say. You would have to write a bit more code. So the new library, I mean, basically all of this is now replaced with just the widget component. But you can embed it into any framework you're using, even if you're using none, and it should be pretty simple.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, this is one of our few open source projects, and I will say this is almost like the flagship of open source projects. So if you have any issue implementing it, if you have any features that you want to see in it, and if you want to contribute, we welcome any contribution.
Yeah, if you need to reach out, feel free to do it on our Typeform community. I usually follow the developers corner part. So if you have any issues and it's regarding this library, I will most likely get to you. And if you do not prefer to use this community page, then in GitHub we have GitHub issues, and you can open an issue there.
And I can tell you that Matej is on top of the game. He's always looking at those issues. Before we leave, I think we're almost done with all the content we want to share with you today. We have one question from Sahil that is asking if the avatar is supported on the chat UI. Could you customize the avatar?
Yeah, so the avatar, it's customized on the share page. And if I'm not mistaken, it has nothing to do with embed. So over here in the design, you can upload an avatar, and I don't have anything ready. So if you upload an avatar over here, I mean, I can look through over here. So let's use this one. Files too big, right? So I don't know. It's cropped, so.
Parrot, you can pick the parrot, parrot.gif. I saw parrot.
Parrot, my previous profile picture.
All right.
And once that's uploaded, it's over here, and so the preview doesn't reload. Yeah, if I reload the page, you should see this over there. Yes, and even if you were to access it directly, so you set it once, and this avatar will be preserved.
Yeah, so it's once per form, and for now it's not something you can set up dynamically. But thank you, Sahil, for this question. All right, I think we're really this is all we want to share with you. Any final thoughts?
I think that's all I had prepared for today, and even more, I didn't expect to be stuck at the API thing on retrieving those responses, but I guess that's what happens when you're coding live, when you're a bit nervous.
You did awesome. That was your first time doing this, right? We have to tell the audience that was the first time you were doing a live coding.
Yeah, this is my first time doing this.
So kudos to you for getting on board on this journey, willing to do it, and sharing with us this whole knowledge. If you want to learn more about the whole work that happened behind the scene on rewriting this library, Matej also wrote an article on our Medium, which is our technical engineering page for Typeform, where we talk about what's going on in Typeform, and there you have a bit more details of the whole rewriting, shrinking the package from how many percentage?
I think it was like over 60 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. There's that, and if you're also interested in the React library, there is an article coming. Well, I don't really want to promise any dates, but I would say soon, hopefully next week. And there will be an article on how the React library is built and how it implements our vanilla library to make sure that all the features are available.
Awesome.
In both.
Yeah, and so please share with us what you do with those libraries. Show us what you do. We love to see examples of beautiful Typeforms embedded in beautiful website and complex, fun behaviors. This is all for today. We'll be back soon, probably like in 2 weeks with a new topic. Keep following and let us know what you think about this thing. Have a good one.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.
Bye.